black suit who stalks people, usually children, while hiding in forests, abandoned buildings, or any place with enough empty space for him to blend in. The legend says he causes memory loss, paranoia, and a strange static distortion whenever he's nearby, which is why he's often linked to corrupted footage or missing person cases. One real case that happened was with two 12-year-old girls called Morgan and Anissa. They lured their friend Peyton into the forest and attacked her, thinking this would make Slender Man happy. Slender Man grew massively through fan games, especially Slender the 8 Pages, where players collect his notes while he silently hunts them. There was also a terrible movie made by him, but we don't talk about that. The character became a symbol of early creepypasta culture because he acted like a modern myth. So if you ever find a random note in the forest, just don't bother reading it and run. Freddy Fazbear. Freddy Fazbear comes from the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, where he's the animatronic mascot of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a family restaurant with a dark history buried under cheery music and dusty birthday banners. Freddy looks like a friendly brown bear in a top hat, but the lore says he becomes active at night, roaming the halls with the other animatronics due to malfunctioning facial recognition software and the spirits said to haunt them. He's known for moving quietly, using the darkness to his advantage, and attacking night guards who failed to manage the building's failing security systems. The series hints at missing children, secret rooms, and a serial killer connected to the restaurant's past, which explains why the animatronics behave more like restless ghosts than machines. Freddy's iconic jump scare, glowing eyes, and eerie laughter helped turn him into one of the biggest modern horror mascots. And at the end of the day, he's proof that even the friendliest-looking characters can hide something much darker inside. Baldi. Baldi comes from Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning, a horror game designed to look like an old, cheap 90s edutainment title. He's a tall, uncanny teacher with a fixed smile and a ruler he snaps whenever he gets angry. The game starts simple, you just solve math problems. But the twist is that Baldi gets faster and more aggressive every time you answer incorrectly, turning the school into a maze where every hallway has a new threat. And on purpose, he gives you an impossible question, which is what makes him start following you. The building is filled with strange characters like the principal, who punishes you for running, and Playtime, who forces you into jump rope games while Baldi gets closer. Items like soda cans, chocolate bars, and safety scissors become your only tools for slowing him down or creating distance. The game became popular because it mixed childhood nostalgia with unpredictable horror, making Baldi feel both goofy and genuinely stressful to escape. He's basically every student's worst nightmare, and if I were you, I would make sure to get his homework done ASAP. Huggy Wuggy. Huggy Wuggy is the blue towering mascot from Poppy Playtime, originally designed to look like a friendly toy with wide eyes and a permanent smile. In the game's story, he was created by Playtime Co., a company that secretly experimented on its employees and fused their consciousness into toys. Huggy becomes the main threat in Chapter 1. Stalking players through quiet hallways, squeezing through vents, and eventually showing his full size with rows of sharp teeth hidden behind that cartoon grin. His movements suggest he's more animalistic than mechanical, acting on instinct as he hunts anything that enters the abandoned factory. Throughout the building, players find experiment notes, preserved blueprints, and strange containment rooms that hint at how many failed prototypes came before him. The grab pack becomes essential for activating puzzles, creating distance, and slowing Huggy long enough to escape. His unsettling mix of innocence and aggression helped him spread quickly across the internet, making him one of the standout figures in modern indie horror. And despite looking like a giant plush toy, he's definitely not cuddly. Bendy. Bendy comes from Bendy and the Ink Machine, a horror game set in the abandoned Joey Drew Studios, a 1930s animation studio that clearly takes inspiration from the early Disney rubber hose era. The studio was famous for creating Bendy, a mischievous cartoon character. But behind the cheerful cartoons, dark experiments were happening. The player discovers that the studio's mysterious ink machine can bring drawings to life, but the results are twisted and dangerous. Bendy himself becomes a living, stalking ink creature with sharp teeth and a grinning face, hunting anyone who enters the building. Through scattered audio logs and drawings, it's revealed that employees were slowly consumed by the ink, either transformed into ink monsters or killed, and that Bendy was part of a larger plot by the studio's owner to achieve immortality through the cartoons. Other characters like Boris the Wolf and Alice Angel exist in warped versions, showing the ink machine's experiments never worked as intended. The combination of vintage animation style, horror, and a tragic backstory makes Bendy more than just a monster. He's the embodiment of the studio's greed and the corrupted dreams of its creators. And if you wander the studio long enough, it becomes clear that Bendy is as much a victim of the ink as anyone else trapped there. Granny. Granny is the main antagonist of the mobile horror game Granny, released in 2017, where players wake up trapped inside an old, decaying house with no memory of how they got there, rightfully earning the title of World's Worst Grandma. Granny's an elderly woman with glowing eyes and unnatural strength, and she can hear almost any sound you make, forcing players to move slowly and carefully. Dropping objects, stepping on creaky floors, or slamming doors will immediately alert her, causing her to rush toward the noise at impossible speeds. The goal is to escape the house within 5 days by solving puzzles, unlocking hidden passages, and finding items like keys, tools, and weapon parts. Throughout the house, there are disturbing hints that Granny has imprisoned multiple victims before, with cages, bloodstains, and strange creatures hiding in the basement and attic. Later versions of the game introduce Grandpa and other threats, showing that the house itself is part of something much darker. The story is mostly environmental, leaving players to piece together Granny's past on their own. And by the end, it's clear that surviving isn't about fighting back. It's about staying quiet long enough to get out alive. Amanda. Amanda the Adventurer is a horror game inspired by old educational children's shows, where the player watches a series of VHS tapes found in an abandoned house. The tapes feature Amanda, an overly cheerful cartoon girl, and her nervous sheep companion, Wooly, as they guide viewers through simple lessons like spelling, directions, and numbers. At first, everything seems harmless, but the tapes slowly become aggressive, with Amanda breaking the fourth wall and reacting angrily if you don't answer questions correctly. As more tapes are discovered, it's revealed that Amanda may be possessed or trapped inside the show, possibly based on a real missing child. Wooly often tries to warn the viewer or calm Amanda down, but he's usually punished or silenced. The game hides secrets in the background, distorted audio, and altered tape endings, hinting at experiments involving children and media control. Unlike most horror games, progression depends on paying attention to small details rather than running or hiding. By the end, the show's friendly tone completely collapses, revealing something much darker beneath the bright colors. Hello Neighbor. Hello Neighbor is a stealth horror game centered around a mysterious man who lives in a quiet suburban neighborhood and seems desperate to hide something in his basement. The player takes